Finding an apartment or house in Germany can be a long and complicated process, particularly for locals and foreigners who are unfamiliar with the details of the German rental market. From understanding the requirements for renting a property to dealing with bureaucratic procedures, there are numerous hurdles to overcome. In this video, I will provide a step-by-step guide to the home search process, outline the necessary documentation for foreign tenants, explain the Kalt and Warmmiete, Mietendeckel, and the mandatory Rundfunkbeitrag. Furthermore, I will demonstrate how utilizing the services of Relobay can simplify the entire experience, saving your time, money, and avoiding unnecessary mistakes. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm the owner and founder of Relobay, your unique relocation platform. Germany's rental market is highly competitive, particularly in major cities like Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, or other cities. Locals and foreigners alike face challenges due to high demand and limited availability. Because of that, some cities introduce the Mietendeckel. More about that later. It is crucial to research the local rental market, including average rental prices, neighborhood preferences, and availability, to set realistic expectations. If you like to move to Frankfurt but don't know what areas suits you best, booking an orientation tour would help you a lot. During this tour, your local relocation consultant can show you different areas of Frankfurt and its surroundings, helping you to make the decision much easier. It's like a hop-on, hop-off tour, but with a much higher value for you. The most famous website to search for a new home to rent or buy is Immobilien Scout 24. The website is in German, but you can use Google Translate to read it in your language. While doing the search, you should look for and know the difference between the Kaltmiete and Warmmiete. Also, when is the possible rental start? Are pets and kids allowed? Yes, you heard correctly. Some landlords don't want to rent to individuals with pets or kids. They might not write it in the announcement, but when you call and tell them about yourself, they might tell you that the property is not available anymore. Well, you should know that some owners don't want to rent to foreigners, especially if the owner speaks only German. Some are hesitant also because of cultural differences. Others don't want short-term renters, but rather to rent for 5 or 10 years and more. Some landlords limit the number of people living on the property. Because of that, you should carefully read through the property description and apartment equipment. Also, sometimes in the pictures, the properties are fully furnished. Nevertheless, you should read the descriptions. Often the pictures are being taken while the property is still rented, but the current tenant will take the furniture, quite often even kitchen. A new 20 square kitchen with Siemens equipment can easily cost 20,000 euros. It's very common to rent a property in Germany completely empty, without furniture, without a kitchen or even lamps. If you don't want to hassle with getting furniture, lamps, setting up electricity and internet, you can look for an all-in rental. To see if the property is all-in rental, you should read the property description. But the first hint of that kind of property is that the Kaltmiete and the Warmmiete are the same. Note that these kinds of properties are more expensive than empty ones. Well now, earlier I mentioned the Mietendeckel, Kaltmiete, Warmmiete, but what does it actually mean and how does it affect you? Let's start with the beautiful word Mietendeckel. The Mietendeckel, or the rental cap, is a measure in Germany that limits the rental price. It sets a maximum price limit on rent. The aim is to provide affordable housing and protect tenants from excessive rent increases. However, it is specific to certain cities and has faced legal challenges and criticism for potential negative impacts on investment and housing supply. What is the Kaltmiete and Warmmiete? In Germany, Kaltmiete refers to the cold rent or basic rent for a property, excluding additional costs like utilities. Warmmiete, on the other hand, includes the Kaltmiete plus additional utility expenses. The Warmmiete gives a more comprehensive picture of the total monthly costs of renting a property, while the Kaltmiete represents the base rent without additional expenses. Example: 2-bedroom apartment, 80 square meters in Frankfurt City, unfurnished but with kitchen. Cold rent 1,200 euros. Utilities 350 euros. This total of 1,550 is the warm rent. But be aware, these costs do not include electricity, internet, liability insurance for the apartment, nor the mandatory Rundfunkbeitrag. I will explain later what this actually is. This could be easily another 200 euros a month. In that case, the final amount could be staggering 1,750 euros each month. You probably want to know what the utilities include. Well, heating, water sewage, garbage disposal, property maintenance, building insurance, lighting and electricity in common areas, and property management fees. One more important point. When searching on Immobilien Scout 24, the property announcement may say that the kitchen is included, but you should still read the property description very closely, because it may say that you have to buy the kitchen in order to rent this apartment. Same can apply to the furniture. Let's assume you have found an apartment that you would like to rent. The next steps are as follows. Contact the announcer. It may be a rental agency or the landlord directly. In either case, you need to call and introduce yourself and ask if the property is still available. Very often the announcement is still online even though the property has gone. In other cases, if you got the viewing appointment and realize sometime later that the announcement has been deactivated, it does not necessarily mean that the property is gone. Very often the announcer takes down the property because of too many requests. In that case, you need to call and get an update. In case you can't or don't want to attend a setup viewing appointment, you should always cancel it in advance. It's just a good behavior. Germans like that very much. In order to get a viewing appointment, you will be asked to provide the following documents. Proof of income, such as payslip or employment contract, to ensure your ability to afford the rent. Additionally, they may request a Schufa credit check, which evaluates your creditworthiness. If you have never lived in Germany, you will have no Schufa. You need to make that clear to the announcer. Foreign tenants will also need to provide a valid passport, a residence permit or a visa. The reason is that the rental periods in Germany are rather long-term, and landlords want to see if your visa will expire soon, and they would have to go through the extensive and costly tenant search again. Landlord pays the realtor agent to find a suitable tenant. Well, now, let's assume you pass the first phone call and you can provide all the needed documents. The next step is to get a viewing appointment. In big cities, it is quite common that during one appointment show up sometimes 10 different potential tenants. You compete with all of them. If you pass this test as well, congratulations, you almost made it. In the next step, the rental agent will introduce your file to the landlord, who decides whether or not you are good enough to be the tenant. Another meeting with the landlord is quite common. Earlier I mentioned the mandatory Rundfunkbeitrag, which is the broadcast contribution fee. This fee supports the public service media like ARD, ZDF and others. Regardless of whether one owns a TV or radio, every household is required to pay this fee. The amount is fixed at approximately 57 euros a quarter for one household. Failure to pay can result in penalties and legal consequences. This is an additional cost factor that is not included in the rental price. Usually you don't need to register for that fee, but get a letter to your new address after the registration at the citizen's office. If you want to register yourself, go to rundfunkbeitrag.de and scroll all the way down to select your language. You can choose from English, Spanish, French and other languages. Well, now, let's assume you made it and the landlord offers you the rental contract, which is quite often in German language. Sign the contract ASAP, because as long as the contract is not signed, the landlord can still rent it to someone else instead of you. It's common to sign the contract digitally and do the handover of the property later. If you sign the contract digitally during the handover, you would sign it again physically. Also, you should use a handover protocol and write all damages and all meter readings such as water and electricity. Note the number of the keys and make other remarks regarding the properties which were not mentioned in the rental contract. If you rent a furnished property, the handover protocol must include a list of all furniture and amenities. Take pictures. You should also know that if you rent a ground floor apartment with a little garden, the landlord may demand that you take care of that garden. Same of course could apply to a house rental. If you don't take care of the garden, the landlord might take a gardener on your expenses, of course. To avoid all kinds of problems, you should carefully read the rental contract. Use an online translator if you must, but read the contract. After securing a rental property, both locals and foreigners are required to re-register the residence at the local citizens office, that is Bürgeramt, in your city, within 14 days of moving in. The date in your Wohnungsgeberbescheinigung or housing provider certificate is relevant for this. The landlord must hand it out to you. If you already have gotten your residence permit, during your re-registration you will get a new address sticker on your residence permit card. Remember to notify about your new address your bank, health insurance, internet provider, official bodies and other important instances that apply to you personally. The registration is mandatory and serves as proof of address for various processes, including opening a bank account, obtaining health insurance, and fulfilling legal obligations. But I talked about it in the previous video, you should check it definitely out. One more important point. If you first move into a temporary apartment in Frankfurt and get an appointment at the foreigners department to get your residence permit, but find shortly after that a property in Cologne, you will have to notify the foreigners department in Frankfurt about that. Thus, they will send your file to the department in Cologne. Furthermore, you will have to request an appointment at the foreigners department in Cologne. This process can greatly negatively affect your residence permit acquisition because it sometimes takes an additional 3 to 4 weeks for the file transfer. Germany is compared to other countries in regards to digitalization still in the Stone Age. Avoid the hassle and stay in the same property until you get your residence permit. As you can see, the home search in Germany is quite complex and time-consuming. Make your life easier and let a professional relocation consultant do the home search for you. You will have just to show up at the viewing appointments. The rest will be taken care of. Make your home search journey more efficient and stress-free. Go to relobay.com and select your consultant. You deserve a relocation with relaxation. Thank you for watching. And remember to hit the like and sign up buttons to stay up to date with more important information. Best of luck in your home search. See you next time. Bye.